Quick fact, did you know that roughly 20% of homes in the Sacramento area are purchased by a cash buyer? So in this video, I'm going to be talking about the top 5 questions that home buyers and sellers have, and also a special bonus question at the end, so be sure to stick around for that. So getting into the questions that the buyers have, the first question is, what can I afford? It's a great question. I always get this question from buyers that are just starting out, not sure where to begin and what they can afford, if it's even reasonable. So the way that a buyer can figure this out is they can get a rough estimate of what they can afford by just looking up an affordability calculator. This calculator allows you to put in your income and your debt. It'll roughly give you an idea of how much home you can afford. The better option would be to connect with the lender and submit an application. They're gonna run your credit, get all of your debts, all of your income, calculate what programs you qualify for and how much home you can afford. Then it's up to you to decide if you want to spend that much monthly and also upfront and all that. Number 2, what is the process of buying a home? So an overall process is the buyer, if they're using financing, would be to get approved for a loan. Once they have that pre-approval completed, then they go ahead and get with an agent and start the home buying process and start searching for homes that kind of suit their needs and also fits their budget. Once that's all said and done, they find the home that they like, they make an offer with their agent, and then it's about 30 days from that contract point to when they actually close and get to move into that home. Number 3, what mortgage is best? This is greatly going to depend on that buyer's situation. So when you're connecting with that mortgage lender, connect with them and see which options are best as far as your desired monthly payment, your desired down payment, your cash to close, or how much you're gonna have to bring to the table. Those are all factors in determining what mortgage is gonna be best for you. So make sure you are clear with your lenders as your monthly, how much you wanna spend up front, and they can find the mortgage that best suits those needs. Number 4, how do you choose a neighborhood? It's a great question I always get asked by buyers is, what should I look for in the neighborhood? And the location is one of the things you cannot change with a home. Things like paint and flooring, those can all be upgraded later, but the location, that you cannot change. So make sure you're looking at the neighborhood as a whole. Is it close to or near your job? Are there any other amenities you like within the neighborhood itself? I always recommend to drive by the particular home a few times, one early in the morning to see if there's going to be a lot of traffic when people going to school or going to work. Number 2, and make sure you drive by around 3 o'clock to make sure if it's in a school pickup line, because there might be a line of cars a mile down the road preventing you from getting to your home. In the evening sometime to see how parking looks. Are all the cars parked on the street? Is there a semi that's going to be parked on the street, every night? Get an idea of the neighborhood. So go by at different times of day through different days to really get an idea of, is this neighborhood right for you? Number 5, what are the hidden costs of home ownership? Hidden costs that you might not think about, and also costs that you might have already dealt with, but maybe not at that scale. For instance, are you currently living in a apartment that's under 1,000 square feet and you're looking to buy a 2,000 square foot 2-story home? Sure, you might have already been paying your SMUD and PG&E bills, but now you're heating twice the size that you used to be. So your bills for energy and gas can definitely grow, and that could be a big shock where you might be used to paying at your apartment $80 a month for your SMUD bill, for instance, and then all of a sudden you move into your house and your average summer bill, where you keep the temperatures the same, your average summer bill is $275 a month. So those are a couple of costs that are going to grow, and also things you might not be aware of would be things like your sewer, your trash or recycle pickup, and also property taxes and homeowners insurance. And then lastly, also want to factor in maintenance. If you're not moving into a condo, are you going to be keeping up with your yard? Are you going to be hiring that out? How is that going to be taken care of? Do you now need lawn equipment because you have to take care of your yard? So just factor in those additional things for the maintenance and additional utilities. Switching over now to the sellers, the number 1 question I always get is, how much is my home worth? This is a great question once again from a seller. A lot of times they look on sites like Zillow or Redfin and they get that estimate and they kind of stick with that. I hesitate to let sellers know that that is their estimate, because that's just a computer algorithm. They have never stepped foot in a home or any of the homes that they are valuing. How do they know that this home hasn't been updated and this home is on busy street that backs up to another business, and therefore it's going to sit on the market for a while and not going to sell at a normal price. Always reach out to an agent that can kind of compare actual comparables with that property and get you a more realistic idea of what your home is actually worth, taking into effect those things that might not be known to a computer algorithm. Number 2, how can I sell my home quickly? The biggest thing you need to do to sell your home quickly is price it right. Sure, you can get it staged, professional photography. That's usually what all goes into selling a home. But the biggest thing is going to be price. If it's not priced right from the start, no matter how much is done, it's not going to sell. So set the price for the condition. If the home is updated, set it for that comparable price. If the home needs work, set it for that comparable price. All right. And number 3, what are the costs of selling? So when you purchased your home, you probably had, some money that you had to put up front. And then when you got down at the end, you had to put some more money down. Selling is a little bit different. Selling is similar to taxes as far as when you get your check if you're a W-2 employee. You get that check at the end and you already have taxes and fees and insurance, all that taken out, and you just get your check at the end. Similar to selling. Usually you don't have to come out of pocket anything unless you're doing a short sale or something like that where you owe more than the home is worth. So typically with that, you'll have title fees and possible real estate commissions. And then at the end of the day, you will just get your check after the mortgage has been paid off, if you have one, and all the other title and real estate fees have been taken out. You will get your cut at the end of all that. So usually not any out-of-pocket cost. All right. Number 4, should I make improvements before selling? Yes and no. It really depends on the condition of the home and what you're looking to get out of it. If you're thinking of doing a full-blown kitchen remodel, I'm going to tell you now, don't do it because you're not going to get all that money back. You might go ahead and spend 60 grand on a kitchen renovation. Well, guess what? That did not just bump up your home value by 60 grand. Usually buyers want, obviously clean and updated homes. But usually it's not worth it to go through all of that just to sell your home, unless your home is really like a fixer, complete gut job. Then it might be reasonable for you to go ahead and do those massive upgrades. Usually the least expensive things you can do, like just giving a nice fresh coat of paint, cleaning up the yard, maybe possibly do some inexpensive flooring just to make it nice and presentable and clean and move in ready. Any other extensive updates I would usually not recommend. Lastly, number 5, what should I do to prepare my home for showings? Usually it's decluttering the home and depersonalizing the home. So make it easy for the buyer to envision themselves living in the home and not get too distracted by your furniture or your items that might be in the home. And also one thing that's usually not thought of is if it's valuable to you, make sure you stow it away so it's not stolen. So this can be things like money, jewelry, guns, ammunition. Also medication is a big one. So make sure you're going through your medicine cabinet and taking out any possible medications that you don't want to be stolen. So anything of value, make sure you take that and hide it away or stow it away. And then also make sure it's easy, presentable, and not cluttered. So those are the top 5 buyer and seller questions that I get. And now for the bonus question that I wanted to address is, what is the deal with this NAR lawsuit and how does this affect me? Well, here in California, if you are a seller, the biggest way that this affects you is on the listing agreements. Previously, there would be a total commission listed and then also how much was being co-opted or shared with the buyer's agent. Now, that is no longer within the listing agreement. So if you are a seller, you simply have how much you are paying your agent if they represent you, and then also how much are you going to pay your agent if they represent you and a unrepresented buyer. So if the buyer chooses not to get an agent, that agent or your listing agent might want some additional compensation to have to do both sides of the transaction. If you're a buyer, now you need to get used to signing a buyer representation agreement if you plan on going with an agent to represent you and also show you homes. Previously, this was not a big thing in our area, but now, for instance, our MLS here in Sacramento, If I represent a buyer and I go and show them a property, our MLS is going to be doing random audits and reaching out to agents to make sure that they have a buyer rep agreement. If I show you a property and I don't have that buyer rep agreement, if my MLS does an audit and reaches out to me for that buyer rep agreement and I don't have that, now I get fined. So I don't know any agents that's going to want to get fined just because the buyer does not maybe feel comfortable signing a buyer rep agreement. But the things are with the buyer rep agreements, they are negotiable and the term can vary. It can be for a particular property. It could be for a week, could be for a month. It's up for negotiation. So those are the few big things with the NAR settlement and also the top 5 questions for buyers and sellers. So please feel free to share this video and also like it, and take care.